So, doctor, what are the weirdest problems that people come up with?
Well, the number one problem in India is masturbation. And what they think happens with doing masturbation is you name it and they have it. They might lose their hair or their penises become sideways.
What a blast last night was. Write down this formula. Tequila plus herbs plus glow sticks equals to a crazy night. One of the drunken games I vaguely remember was my first sexual experience. They're all dear friends, and of course I can't divulge the scandalous firsts. But between you, me and the keyboard, the most absurd story last night was of a 40-looking 30 hot auntie from Ranchi who taught all the neighborhood girls to milk cows. Though I'm sure that was more fantasy than fact, it got me thinking, since sex ed is such a taboo in schools, where do people get their lessons in sexy from? So all of us talk about a lot of things like boyfriends and girlfriends, sex, and what sort of conversations do you have about sex?
According to me, first sex was just kissing. Then my friend actually told me how it is done, and my first reaction was like, ouch.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, would you prefer getting your sex education from a place as opposed to the place that you got it from?
Yes, I feel school should give you education for that. I mean, school teaches you everything, then why not this?
Yeah.
I remember in a textbook we had this thing, a small paragraph about AIDS and condoms. So when the teacher was reading, she just, just read through it, didn't even explain. We didn't even ask our teachers because they were like, come on.
Because we all were embarrassed that she was embarrassed, and then the whole situation got embarrassing. So what was your perception about sex before you knew about it and then after you knew about it?
It was a disgusting thing before I knew anything about it. After I came to know everything about it, I'm sure everybody wants to do it at one point of time in their life.
And in fact, I feel that, whenever I say, obviously I'm going to do it, everyone is going to do it. It's a very natural thing.
Right.
It's a beautiful.
Everyone has to do it. It's like
It's
that.
beautiful. See how nice.
In fact, my sister just got married. So before she got married, even in our house, when there was an ad of condom also, change. It was like that. And now, after she got married, all my aunts were discussing about it with her. After marriage, it's all fine.
Yeah.
But before
That's so
marriage,
basically,
oh my
marriage
God,
is
no.
like the license to
Yeah,
have
to
sex.
have sex. Yeah.
Which I don't understand, but it is the truth. So where did you get your sex education?
My friends told me and I was initially I was in a shock कि इतना कुछ करना पड़ता है या ऐसे से
करना पड़ता है।
पहले लगता था कि बस भाई शादी कर लो अपने आप अच्छा हो जाता
But that is what the perception is, ना? Because parents don't talk about it.
parents told that ये जो सामने वाला पेड़ लगा है ना यहाँ पे तू लटक रहा था तो हम जाके ऊपर चढ़ के ले आए
Oh my God! आप तो आम हो. About masturbation, how did you get to know?
ये कुछ 8 क्लास के बाद आएगा जब उस वक्त काफ़ी कैफेज थे तो एक दोस्त का भाई का कैफे था तो वहाँ से किसी ने बोला कि यार मैंने देखी यार ऐसे ऐसे चीज़ें होती हैं वीडियो बनाते हैं
अच्छा
मैंने कहा यार अच्छा ऐसे कैसे पॉसिबल है तो फिर अपॉइंटमेंट रखी सबने
11 बजे तुम करना था 12 बजे उतने में खत्म कर देना.
मतलब कि मेरे भाई कैफे बंद करेगा रात को 9:30 बजे
हाँ.
तो 10 बजे का टाइम रखते हैं
ओ मतलब पूरा मूड लाइटिंग के साथ.
सब लोग गए और लिख के ले गए थे एक पेपर के ऊपर www.XXX ऐसे लिखकर
हाँ.
कैसे कैसे आता भी था ना किसी को तो खुल गया सब पहले तो देख रहे हैं भाई ये तो सच में ऐसा है हमारे में से एक कोई उस्ताद था लड़का कोई NRI टाइप था लड़का जो हमारा उसको तो वो ना अपना पीछे कहीं लगा हुआ तो कह रहा है कि सिर्फ देखो मत फील भी करो ट्राई भी करो.
Now coming to
No, mine was simple like my वही फ्रेंड्स करते थे तो दे टोल्ड मी द प्रोसीजर सो कहते एक बार ट्राई करके आइए तो मैं क्या करता था घर पे पेरेंट्स वगैरह सारे होते तो मैंने ना जैसे ऐसे टेबल पे बैठे हैं तो बुक खोलनी यहाँ पे पढ़ रहा हूँ मैं ठीक है और अपना दरवाजा बंद करना और नीचे ना पढ़ते पढ़ते लगा रहना ठीक है तो मैं सोचता था कि घंटा हो गया यार कुछ हो तो रहा है नहीं मुझे तो कुछ लगता नहीं है नहीं बोलते हैं फिर उसने मेरे को मतलब मेरे दोस्तों ने ऑब्वियसली दोस्त मेरे लिए भगवान था या दोस्त ही मेरे लिए सेक्स एजुकेशन दैट एज So like they told me that you have to think, you have to imagine someone and then you have to do. तो भाई तब तो 5 मिनट में हो गया.
तो रेने, एज यू नो, वी आर द लैंड ऑफ कामा सूत्रा. हम लोग ने ये लिखी है वो बुक, बट हम लोग सेक्स के बारे में बात करना नहीं चाहते. व्हाट डू यू थिंक अबाउट द कामा सूत्रा?
मैं बड़ा सुनती थी कामा सूत्रा और अगर याद होगा एक शेखर कपूर रेखा जी की एक फिल्म आई, राइट? तो उनको देख के मैंने कहा कि यार ये तो कुछ ऐसी चीज है जो ऑन कैमरा तो आ नहीं रही है लेकिन ऑफ कैमरा बहुत मस्त हो.
तो आपने कभी मतलब यू एवर मेंशन्ड कि यू नो यू हैव अ बॉयफ्रेंड एंड यू आर सेक्सुअली एक्टिव टू योर पेरेंट्स? हैव यू एवर
Yes.
Okay.
Not to my dad, but to my mom and to my sister.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what was your mom's reaction?
I told my mom like I'm in a relationship and I am attached to that guy physically.
So she must have understood.
हाँ, of course.
Yeah.
When I mention it very particularly that physically, तो वो उनके दिमाग में आ गया कि okay.
Oh my god. That was some absurd information. Now I can't look at my parents the same way. However, I've always believed old school is still cool. And Dr. Watsa is the living proof. So doctor, what are the weirdest problems that people come up with?
Well, the number one problem in India is masturbation. And what they think happens with doing masturbation is you name it and they have it. They might lose their hair or their penises become sideways.
According to you, doctor, where does this ignorance come from?
Well, you know, the whole nation suffers from what I say shame. You know, they're ashamed to talk to somebody, ashamed to talk to their children. The teachers are ashamed to, you know, they feel embarrassed to talk to. And you can't blame them because, you know, the students at that age, say 13, 14 or 15, are themselves very sexually excited.
Right.
What has happened is that formerly sex education all was within the family or within the school and all. But now it's sort of spread and become politicized, and they take it up in their, you know, in their various assemblies and so on. And hence they ban sex education in the country.
So doctor, the audience that I was talking to you about, I'm going to represent them now. So I'm going to be the majority and ask you, how many times should a person masturbate?
What we recommend is that look, when you're sexually excited, masturbate, and you're perfectly okay with that.
Right.
But nowadays what is happening is that a lot of things come into the way. For example, you can watch porn on various
The
things
internet.
and so on. And then the porn makes you habituated.
So you can't masturbate without porn.
Exactly. And the time comes when they get married, they're more married to their computer than to their wife, you know.
Doctor, so how healthy is porn?
See, porn is not meant to be healthy.
Right.
It's meant to arouse you.
Right.
And give you pleasure. It's focused on that, and you know the people who go on for 30 minutes at a time, and everybody asks me that why can't I go on for more than a minute? So I told them you buy a couple of cameras and take it over a couple of days. And then you might be okay with it.
Right. So doctor, what do you suggest at what age should children be exposed to sex education?
From the day they are born. Living or you know being alive is the major this thing. Next to that is sex.
Yes.
See, and so anything that goes wrong with them or even anywhere here in the body, it creates a problem. And then there's nobody to answer it. Then that creates a stress.
Sex education is as important as the other things that we learn. Looking at the way things are now, I think parents should consult their kids on getting a more practical perspective. Nonetheless, we should all once in a while switch to sex education sites from our usual sex X sites.